pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, for a few of you who are just come in, my name is Andy Amrine. I'm going to moderate tonight's debate, and we've already gone over all the ground rules, got our questions and everything together. So I'm going to move right in so we don't run out of time tonight. And we're going to start with our opening comments, starting with Russ. We each have 2 minutes.
Good evening, and thank you to the Bethel Park Republican Committee and to Andy Amrine for moderating this event, and to the taxpayers of Bethel Park for attending or watching this forum. I have been actively involved in the Bethel Park community for over 20 years, be it in the scouting, through the rec department, or on various committees in the school district. I have a degree in secondary education from the University of Pittsburgh, and I have worked for major corporations for over 32 years. As a school board member, I constantly consider the plight of my 94-year-old neighbor living on a fixed income. She spends over $3,000 a year for health care coverage, while a teacher in Bethel Park making approximately $90,000 pays $950, and the taxpayers of Bethel Park pick up the remaining $17,000. I just cannot ask my neighbor to pay any more for the teacher's health care. I vow to continue to fight for the taxpayers of Bethel Park. Thank you.
Okay. Pam?
Good evening. My name is Pam Dobis, and I'm a lifetime resident of Bethel Park. I'd like to thank you for coming and thank the Republican Committee for organizing this evening. I'm running for school director because I think it is time for some new leadership in the district. We've had a difficult run of years, and it's time for some new people to serve our community. That doesn't mean that change is necessary just for change's sake. But new ideas, new ways of doing business can energize a community and bring new life to an institution. I have 35 years of experience working for the Bethel Park School District as an English teacher. I believe my insights into the educational system in Bethel will be a valuable asset to me as a school director. I've served on many committees, such as the strategic plan committees, curricular committees, and assessment committees, to name a few. So I'm very familiar with this district. And I see this experience as an asset for a school director. Educationally, I believe that students are our precious focus and that they should master the fundamental basics and then be encouraged to excel through a flexible yet rigorous curriculum. We should help students to become productive, informed citizens of our community, but we should also introduce them to their creativity, because a society that doesn't value art is devoid of its humanity. If we keep our standards high, our community will be rewarded by the benefits of an educated, youthful, energetic citizenry. I bring a positive attitude. I will work for responsible and reasonable solutions. I will put the students first and engage the community in decision making. Ultimately, I'm running for school director because I love this community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Connie?
My name is Connie Rule, and I have been on the board for 16 years. My family have been in Bethel Park well over 40 years, and we have been actively involved in many of the organizations, sports, and governing bodies of the community. I've worked in the banking sector for over 20 years as the corporate manager of operations training. I also was a consultant for the Pennsylvania Treasury Department. I owned my own training business, and I worked as an adjunct professor for Point Park University and Waynesburg University. I've served on over 20 boards of directors and advisory committees, and I am currently the executive director of the South Hills Chamber. I am also the vice president of Steel Center Vocational Tech School, which serves 15 districts, and vice president of Shasta, which serves 21 districts, and the Allegheny County Intermediate Unit, which serves 42 districts. I am very well versed in the educational environment in Western Pennsylvania. When I came on the school board, we were $2 million in debt, and that was not a very good position to be in. Maybe a lot of people were not even aware of that, because all we did was go out and raise taxes. You can't do that today. Because of Act 1, you cannot do that. Our options are very limited. We would have to go to referendum, and if you vote it down, we have to cut programs and staff. We cannot reopen the budget. So we definitely are in a different work environment today. And as we speak right now, there is a movement underway for our legislators to look at health care across the state for all of our teachers to take that issue off the table. So I ask for your vote. Thank you.
All right. John?
Thank you. I'm Master Sergeant John DeLallo, and I'd like to be your representative on the Bethel Park School Board. I was once told by a man much smarter than I am, never run for public office except on principle. To run for public office for a seat at the table and a title is folly, a waste of your time, and a disservice to the community that you represent. I am running on principle. School directors must be accessible, cordial, and be ambassadors of the school district to the taxpayers, students, parents, staff, and to the teachers. The role of our system of public education is crucial. It is the foundation upon which so many young men and women will build their lives. The value, I hesitate to steal a line from a TV commercial, but it's priceless. The value of our homes, the quality of the new families who move into Bethel Park, the fact that we are the 44th safest community in the entire nation of communities in excess of 25,000 residents speaks volumes. I promise, if you decide to elect me as a school director, to continue to build upon marvelous traditions and the strong foundation of those who have served before me. I pledge to work side by side with the current school directors and to always have an eye towards our most precious resource, our children, and especially my two granddaughters who attend Bethel Park schools. Thank you in advance for your vote on November the 5th.
All right, thank you. Cindy?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, members of the Republican Party and Mr. Amrine for being here this evening and doing this forum on behalf of the community. My name is Cindy Shoddy Buckley, and I am seeking re-election for the Bethel Park School Board. I've lived in Bethel Park for 29 years, and I'm proud to say that I have 3 children who have gone through our school system from kindergarten through graduation. I'm currently serving my 4th year of my term, and I truly hope that I will be re-elected to continue to serve the children of Bethel Park. Prior to being elected, I taught in the school district for 36.5 years, and as an educator, attended the board meetings for over 30 years on behalf of my students. Over the course of my career, I have earned many awards and honors. These awards are important as I didn't accept them as an individual, but as a member of a team that included administrators, fellow teachers, support staff, my students, and their parents. I firmly believe that it takes a team of dedicated people focused on children to ensure a strong school system. Having said that, please know that I did not become involved in the school board to focus on one group of employees. I ran for the board to represent children, the taxpayers, and every employee in the district. I have been approached by numerous people who said they had a great concern about me representing teachers only after I was elected. Please know that over the course of my 4-year term, I've had numerous people who've come up to thank me for my service to the school district and acknowledge with my actions and my voting record that I have shown that I am on the board to focus on children while being cognizant of the taxpayers' limits and remaining respectful to every employee in the district. I firmly believe that we need to continue to take a long, hard look at every decision and expenditure made. Our children deserve a top-notch education that meets the needs of every student. I will continue to focus on what is best for our children and the taxpayers with your support.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. All right, Tom.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to thank you first for having me here this evening, and I'd like to take a minute to let you know a little bit about who I am. A bit of my background that may prove helpful and beneficial to Bethel Park and our school district. I was born and raised in western Pennsylvania. I spent most of my young life in Greene County on a working farm with my family. It's there that I learned to appreciate the value of hard work. I lived in Peru for a year and a half where I learned to appreciate language and culture and cultural diversity. I earned 2 bachelor's degrees from IUP, one in Spanish, one in business. I spent several years in international business where I managed territories that included Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean because I speak Spanish and Portuguese. As a business development manager for these territories, I had the opportunity to negotiate large contracts in the international arena. A little over 10 years ago, I decided to give back the gift I had received having learned several languages and having had the opportunity to travel extensively. I decided to give back the gift of language and culture by becoming a Spanish teacher, by earning my master's degree in education at the Duquesne University. For more than 10 years, I have volunteered in our community, coaching soccer, basketball, volleyball, t-ball, hockey, track. And additionally, I've been a volunteer with the Boy Scouts and Indian Guides as well as several other community programs. I'm not a politician. I am a Spanish teacher in another community. But I am first and foremost a husband, a father, neighbor, a taxpayer, and a community volunteer. I care deeply for our children, their future, and that of our community in which my family and I have chosen to live. Please support me and my team, including Pam Dobos and John DeLillo. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you each and every one of you. All right, we're going to move on into the questions that the candidates themselves have submitted. And our first question is going to go to Russ. Russ, do you believe it would be a good idea to incorporate public comments as a portion of the minutes of each meeting?
I think that I would have no reason not to include public comments as part of the meeting minutes. The only question I have is when we would run out of paper, because there have been some nights when we've had comments that run on for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. So I'm absolutely in favor of that. I see no negative or no reason not to do that. I'd like to make another comment, since I've answered the question, that when you negotiate contracts in the private sector, which I have done with many major corporations, there's no correlation to what you do in the public sector. I'd love to say that, in private sector it's a win-win type of affair. In the public sector, your hands are tied by so many items like contract terms, state law, etc. Thank you.
Okay. Next question is for Pam. Pam, how do you see Act 1 affecting negotiations in future years?
Well, right now, Act 1 was put in place to lower taxes for senior citizens by using gaming revenue. And as of yet, the school districts have not seen any of that revenue. And I don't know whether or not they will be seeing any of that revenue. I'm not necessarily hopeful that it will be used for negotiations in the future. But what we can do to increase our tax base is to encourage new businesses and new residents to be moving into the community. However, also under Act 1, districts cannot raise taxes above a certain limit unless they ask for a certain exception. And this definitely affects the money that is available for negotiations if the district chooses not to go beyond that, that limit in terms of the exceptions. However, negotiations and contracts are not all about money. There are a lot of aspects in negotiations and in contracts that don't have anything to do with money. They have to do with the education and the quality of the education that is occurring in the schools and the educational programs. So although Act 1 affects the monetary value available for school districts in negotiating, it doesn't affect the non-monetary aspects, and those are equally important in terms of a negotiation. Thank you.
Okay, next question is for Connie. It says Bethel Park School District has taken measures to ensure our children's safety, including the placement of our security resource officer at the high school facility. should Bethel Park School District place security personnel in each of our buildings to protect our children? Please elaborate on why or why we shouldn't have security personnel in each building.
I really think that that is going to be a question that our community, working together with us, will have to answer. There are a lot of people, including teachers, administrators, and community people, that don't want to see that placed in the school, so that our children will be nervous and upset. I mean, they're not used to that. But there are many ways that we can ensure security. One of them is to use the devices that are available. I think we need to have tighter controls than we have currently. Sometimes I think we take for granted we know the people and we let them in. We need to work on that. We know that. We need to give training to our personnel. But we also need to look at maybe security for maybe our very large buildings. But I think it's something that we cannot take lightly. As a community, no one is exempt, and I think we need to keep that in mind. It's just how well will be received by our students, who will receive the greatest impact, and what the community would like to do. But I do believe something needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. All right, next one is for John. John, the Bethel Park School District by law has many policies. Every policy is available online to the public. How familiar are you with said policies? How do these policies impact the school district on a daily basis?
I actually am familiar with the policies, even the sequence numbers, 200s, 300s, 400s, 500s. There's a lot of repetition in there because some cover students, and then the next set of policies cover teachers, and then the next administrative personnel, so on and so forth. So the policies that we have are what you would expect to see either in business or in the public schools. The policies, as you mentioned, are indeed available online to the public. How do the policies impact the school district on a daily basis? They're there. They're rules. They need to be followed. But most importantly, the final arbiter in the event of an egregious violation of any of those policies are the school directors. And it's important to bear that in mind. At the end of the day, the school directors are responsible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Cindy?
Yes.
All right. Can you please articulate your thoughts on periodic open forums, town hall meetings, for lack of a better terms, where residents, teachers, students, and taxpayers can engage the school directors in a meaningful discourse?
Thank you. I'm all in favor of having meetings and meeting with people. We certainly meet and chat a lot. Ask my husband how many meetings we have. As far as specific guidelines are concerned, there are things that are in the policy book that Mr. DeLillo just mentioned that give us specific ways with very rigid rules by state law that we must enforce. So there are things there that we would have to study, and I wouldn't want anyone to think that we're trying to ignore the rules in meeting with people. As far as the open forums are concerned, there are opportunities at the board meetings to speak. We have meetings, for example, there's PTO, PTA meetings, there's curriculum meetings, and the sad thing to say for me, in the past I had mentioned that I attend board meetings as a teacher. There were times where I was the only person in the audience. How sad to think that people didn't care enough to come. But the good news is they're on cable, so that certainly helps to get the word out. The other evening we attended a meeting about the Common Core, and there were 29 people there. So that was certainly a step in the right direction. And as far as the meaningful discourse, I'm all for it, as long as it's held in a respectful manner and the information that's shared is actual fact and not things that people are told to believe. Thank you.
All right. Tom, your question. Please describe your perception of the role of a school director in Bethel Park.
Basically, I believe the role of a school director in Bethel Park is to be a steward the futures of both our children and our community. And this isn't one to be taken lightly. School board director must ensure academic rigor to ensure that our children have every opportunity to succeed in the future. In today's global environment, that's crucial. Job opportunities are much more limited than they were a few years ago. At the same time, a school board director must show responsible fiscal leadership as good stewards of the finances in the community. So that's another task that's very difficult with limited funds right now. School board director must believe in communication, transparency, and cooperation, 3 things that I firmly believe in and I think need to be addressed, and that's why I'm here to hopefully make a change in the school board. Our community success is dependent on these, and above all, school board director must promise to provide a safe and academically challenging environment for all students in Bethel Park. So it's a tough job. I mean, folks have been doing it for many, many years. I have 2 children in the school district right now, and I definitely won't take this opportunity lightly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our second round of questions, we're going to start again with Russ. How can the school directors continue to uphold Bethel Park's high academic standards while meeting the needs of all students and implementing the new state and federal mandates regarding Common Core in our schools?
I'd like to address the portion of Common Core first. As a school director, I firmly believe in local control. And Common Core, depending on how the final laws are implemented, may not give us local control. And I don't even want to speak to Common Core because it's a state and federal law. So it is going to be brought down to us, and we're going to have to follow the rule of Common Core. In terms of keeping the high standards of Bethel Park, I think as a school director, you need to allow your staff and team to be able to bring you the information to make good common sense decisions. I think that generally speaking, we're doing a wonderful job. We have one of the best teams in place. I would say that we as individuals really don't do the job. It's a team and it's a team effort. So as Cindy had stated earlier, lots of meetings, lots of time, and lots of rigor around the administration providing us good detail, and I'm satisfied.
Okay. Pam? All right. School districts in Pennsylvania continue to receive less state and federal funding. What programs or options would you consider to balance the budget, keeping taxes in line for the citizens of Bethel Park?
Well, first of all, I believe that as school directors, we should maintain our high standards that we've always had here in Bethel Park. We're a quality school district, and we must keep that quality. So I believe in creative solutions. I wouldn't consider any of our programs or options until that time comes, whenever you have to make that decision. But to randomly choose a program or an option right now, that's far beyond me. I have no crystal ball as to what the future would bring for that. Place and timing are all there. But I do not anticipate the need to cut any programs or to lower our graduation requirements. I think by working with the community, with the teachers, with the staff, with the administration, that we can come up with solutions to problems for the future, whatever those problems might be, and probably they will be monetary. I also believe that we should use public money in public schools. I have not seen a great success rate with the cyber schools and with the statistics coming out of the cyber schools. They're using public money, but their standardized scores do not reflect high scores. So we should work to bring those students back into the school district by save some money that way, and also provide some flexible scheduling for students who need it. By working together, I think we can find solutions to keep our taxes here in Bethel Park reasonable. Thank you.
All right, Connie? Bethel Park School District has spent a large sum of our tax dollars on technology over the past 2 years. How should Bethel Park School District responsibly fund and/or implement technology strategies in the future?
I like this question because I had to do it for business. They didn't pay for anything. I really believe that we need, and we already have the beginnings of a strategic technology plan for the district, but we need to share it with everyone because there are many options to get that particular plan funded. If people know how much it costs, what it's for, and how it will be used, you need to have a plan. I think that we can get grants. We can become beta sites for a lot of the equipment manufacturers are always looking for beta sites. We can go to our businesses, we can go to some of the corporations, but you have to have something solid to share with them, both what it is you're going to do, why you're going to do it, and what the cost will be. So there are many ways to fund technology. And talking to other districts, they've done exactly that. They've gotten some software from businesses. They've gotten some PCs that maybe a business has only used for 1 year and they've decided that they need something else. There are many ways to fund technology. We just need to get out there. And many of the districts have done that. Many of your very affluent districts have done it. And we can do it too. But we need that plan and we need to share it.
Okay, thank you. John? All right, how can the Board of School Directors cooperatively work with the community, the staff, and the administration to create a positive environment, a positive vision, and a responsible fiscal plan for the future?
Thank you. I attend football games a lot. And we are blessed here in Bethel Park with a terrific community. We've got a great staff. We've got fine administrators. And that said, I went to the Penn Hills football game last Friday night. We were wanded for weapons. There was a police presence there that was incredible. And there were perhaps 150 fans on the Penn Hills, on the home side of the field. Bethel Park travels very well. And I think that's reflective not of how many times we've won the state championship or the WPIAL. It's reflective of the cohesiveness of the community. We've got a beautiful foundation here. And by working to build those blocks on that foundation that we already have, we're going to be in really good shape. The last part of your question is, and a responsible fiscal plan for the future. I wish I had my Harrisburg crystal ball. For those of you who don't know it, our ability to secure funding is dictated by Harrisburg. If you haven't followed House Bill 1189, I would encourage you to do so. It's absolutely terrifying. The responsible fiscal plan moving forward is actually out of our hands, and it's in Harrisburg.
Okay, thank you, John. Cindy? Okay. If you have to cut programs to keep an affordable budget and to meet Act 1 requirements, how would you cut, and what would you cut, and why?
Thank you. Well, I can easily tie this question to the first question as far as the meetings are concerned, because one of the meetings we spend a lot of time is the budget meeting. And again, depending on how many people come, and this information is all public, so we're not sharing secrets here. The salaries and benefits constitute 75% of our total budget. Purchase services, 10%, supplies, 4%, equipment, 1%, and the debt service is rounded off to approximately 10%. So there's a lot of places where we can look to make these cuts. I propose what we have done in the past and continue to work on it, although money is getting tighter, is that we have to have all parties concerned involved in it. One person or one small team of people cannot make that decision. That's why we have teacher committees serving on purchasing curriculum. They know full well what the curriculum is going to cost when things are suggested that we purchase, as far as some of the supplies and things are concerned. The services that we offer, it needs to be approached by the entire team. There are other ways, too. We have a $77 million budget, and that's a lot of money. But there are ways that you can cut in small ways, and that all adds up. We have teachers who will take a $500 box of equipment and say, we just need one, and we'll share it. And they make that effort not on behalf of themselves, but on behalf of the children. So that gives more money to spend on something else. And I'm very proud of the people who are willing to step and do those kind of things. There are other people who have money available to them through grants and different things like that. So there are all different ways to approach it. But again, it has to be a teamwork approach and not with the idea that this is the amount of money and so that I get it all. You can't work it that way. It has to be a team effort. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tom. With the many federal and state mandates required by law, how do you propose to balance an already tight budget with diminishing funds without eliminating programs to prepare our students for the 21st century?
Let's talk about funding and dollars again. It is really, really important. And I think first and foremost, we have to maintain and maybe even enhance our academic programs that we offer in Bethel Park. You know, other school districts are actually expanding programs, they're actually adding programs. You know, we need to scrutinize all of our expenditures. We need to look at considering alternatives. Technology as an example. Past couple months, and I go to the meetings, we're spending on technology. I want to hear option A and B. What if we don't do this? What if we don't do that? And we've spent a large amount of money in technology, and my daughter says that she goes into her digital media class and can't even get the things to work. It takes her 15 minutes to boot into the program, and then it dumps her out and doesn't work. And everyone's frustrated, okay? So, and this isn't just this year. It's been going on. So I think dumping money into things like technology, we need to really scrutinize all of these expenses. I think we also need to scrutinize and make sure that whatever funding that we're spending on, like the cyber and charter schools, is necessary. And I know that we don't have control over that, but I think the school board needs to support trying to get away from the expenditures for cyber and charter schools. Limit those funds if we can. So we can use those funds to prepare our children here in Bethel Park. Pam brought up a really good point. And instead of cutting, let's talk about attracting new businesses and new residents. That's what other school districts are doing. They're expanding. When was the last time a housing plan went in Bethel Park? We need to attract people here, businesses. We need to get more tax dollars so that we can actually spend more. I know personally 2 personal friends who chose other districts.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All right, since we're running a couple minutes ahead of schedule, I'll throw you 6 a little monkey wrench here, and we're just going to go through and we'll give each one of you a minute for a rebuttal on any one of the questions. So there were 12 questions there that were asked of you. So I'll just start back up at the top of the list, and you'll each have a chance for a 2-minute rebuttal if you have any issues with anything, how any one of those 12 questions were asked. Sorry, Russ, to throw you under the gauntlet, but you'll have 2 minutes. We'll give them 2 minutes, all right, to answer. So go to it, Russ.
Well, let's start with the last comment that Mr. Majernik made about housing plans and businesses. I'm not sure as a school director I have any control over doing any of those things. And there is a new housing plan coming to Bethel Park, by the way, by the Cool Springs area. There's a brand new housing plan coming in. I can't take credit for that. Can't do that. Couple of the other comments that I've heard is that we need to make change because we have to ensure quality education in the district, and then answering that question, we have quality education in the district. So I'm a little confused. Do we have it or don't we have it? Because I've heard it both ways, and I really don't understand how we could have it both ways if we're not doing a good job, but we are doing a good job. Communication and transparency. On my time on the board, and I think Cindy alluded to this, I've been to, I can't even give you the number of meetings, it's in the hundreds, I would suppose. And there have been nights when we've had 3 people, and they know who they are, they're nodding their heads in the audience, who have come to our meetings. And one that particularly bothers me is budget meetings. People say we're not transparent. Well, come to the budget meeting. We are extremely transparent. We've had 7, 8, 10 iterations of our budget. It's all out there. It's all in public. This is probably, except if you're cutting a program or doing something, I've never seen this many people. It's tremendous. I applaud you for being here tonight. That means you care and you're concerned. But being transparent, we are transparent. You can call me, you can stop me on the street, you can talk to me in the gym, and I will be more than happy to answer any question that I legally can answer.
Okay, thank you. All right, Pam.
I'd like to address, I think, what Russ was just talking about. When we're talking about transparency and the lack of transparency in the district, we come to a school board meeting, and the agenda has been on the website, and it's very limited. It's just it's just actually a heading for a category. When we get there, we at that time get the details about what each of those items will be about, and so we have to go through the agenda in about 5 minutes while we're saying the Pledge of Allegiance in order to be able to make any public comments. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever that we can't have that information ahead of time. The same is true of the budgetary numbers and so forth. I've called up to the administration building at times. I wanted I emailed. I wanted the end of the year figures for 2013 in June. Well, we don't have them. We don't get them ready until we have the audit. Well, any business would have the end of the month summaries or the end of the year summaries. So this transparency is not there. And there's no reason that it is not there. We are entitled to that information, and we should get it ahead of time so we can make comments and suggestions and maybe come up with some creative solutions for dealing with our problems.
Thank you. Connie?
The only thing that I can say about the meetings that I think that, first of all, our committee meeting is really our working meeting. It's not the formal meeting. So if you have questions and you want to have input and things like that, and you want to know more about what's going on to the formal meeting agenda, that's the place where it takes place. The only thing that comes on at the formal meeting is something we would get at the last minute that we don't have, and only getting the full information. But the two meetings are separate for that reason. And we also have meetings in between where it's just for a discussion of a particular topic. And we have enough of those going on during the month. You can pick and choose what day you want to come up. The other thing is that I would like to mention that we, as a board, have really tried to communicate as much as we could. As far as figures and things, they are available. You should be able to get them. I don't know what the issue is, but they may not be readily available in the format that they feel that you would maybe understand or might need more information. And one last thing, I just want to let you know, Pam, you don't know it's happened, but we've gotten a little over $300 for each person from the gambling revenue. If you didn't notice it.
We've gotten what?
From the gambling revenue.
How much have we
A
gotten?
little over $300.
Well,
But I mean, it's there. You know.
how many
And they will tell
how
you
many
they've
pencils?
contributed, but you know.
Not everyone's tax bill is already taken off of the tax bill.
Yeah,
Put that out there. They have, it hasn't gone up in the years like.
that's right. It stayed the same. But, you know, they say they contribute, so you can't say anything. They have. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Connie. All right, John?
Well, just adding to the comment about the incorporation of public comments, as a portion of the minutes, I think it's a good idea. It might serve to have persons like myself be a little more reserved. I'd also like to see the board comments, which some of them have been splendid, but they're lost to posterity, and unless you want to search through YouTube. So that's one thought, and the other, Connie had spoken to security, and I'm going to agree with her the American Federation of Teachers has taken a position on armed security in schools. I'm sure Chief Mackey has an opinion. I'm sure that there are people in county government, state government, but at the end of the day, it's going to be incumbent upon the school directors to decide what level of security is prudent and affordable. And while I agree, it's going to take a group of people to put this together. Again, at the end of the day, it'll be on the school board to make that final decision.
Okay, thank you, John. All right, Cindy.
Thank you, sir. There's several things I'd like to say. First of all, as far as the cyber schools are concerned, I hope everyone is aware that the school district is currently spending over $700,000 a year to do what we need to do as far as cyber. That was mentioned as far as the schools, and that's a parent's choice. It's not a question of the school district telling a child or a parent that they can or cannot. That's a public choice. We have, as a board and an administration, offered some ideas to a group of people in the district and how we could save money on that over a year ago, and we were refused to have that meeting. They said that that could wait. As far as communication is concerned, believe me, we get phone calls. There are days where we might have 50 emails apiece. We have personal contact. I personally take calls until midnight because of my family schedule. Going to the Giant Eagle, you buy your ice cream last because you don't get to the frozen aisle until you've talked to other people, and I'm happy to do that. I have no problem doing that. We need to be out there. We need to talk to people. The public comments, it's an opportunity to share your ideas. It's been done different ways over the past, but you don't want to make it into an argument kind of situation because sometimes many of the things said during public comment, again, fact or fiction. So they can become a situation that doesn't work well. One other thing as far as availability, the bills list, someone mentioned that it's not available. Attending board meetings for many years as I did, they used to have the bill package, the paperwork, sitting there when you signed in. Those bills were there. Nobody took them. I did. I studied them. I called. I made suggestions and so on about ways to cut and whatnot, and I've done that for years. Those bill lists are still available. It's just that we don't put them out in stacks because we're cutting costs. We're saving a tree. So all of that information most definitely is available along with the budget information. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And Tom.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, but with all due respect, I'm not in the, I don't really like to rebut anybody. I prefer to stand up here on my own merits. Honestly, if you have a question of me, I'd be happy to answer of it, but they stand on their merits. I prefer to stand on my own merits.